It's 10:15 Saturday morning, the day of the 5K time trial. Suddenly it seems like a really stupid idea. So breakfast this morning was scrambled eggs on toast, coffee, and I also had an avocado. Avocado is an alkaline food, so hopefully that'll help reduce the acidity in my stomach. As far as pacing goes, I'm looking to be conservative. I'd want the first kilometre to be somewhere between 3:45 and 3:50. I really don't want to go below 3:45 on that first kilometre. Ideally, I'd like the negative split. I'm hoping to go faster than that, but I want to avoid blowing up. I think a small negative split I'm going to learn a lot more from that than I would if I blew up. If I blew up, all I know is that I went out too fast. If I negative split, I can actually get an idea of where my real pace should be. Remembering that I've got another 5K time trial in 4 weeks' time. And then there'll be two 10K time trials 4 weeks apart after that. So this is my warm-up race. I really want to learn stuff from this race. I don't want to come out of this race being no wiser than I was before. I'll do a warm-up like I would for a track session, so around a 10-15 minute easy run warm-up, and then I'll go through my running drills, some run-throughs just to practice running at that pace just for a few seconds. Then I'll start the time trial. Once that's finished, I'll do a cool down and come home. I was planning for Elaine to take footage of the time trial. Unfortunately, she's been really sick this week and she's currently in hospital, so the whole week has been a bit of a mess. I'll get the time trial in this morning and then I'll head back off to the hospital. Well, that's probably enough procrastinating. I better get my act into gear and start running. See you after the 5K time trial, if I survive. I'm back. It did not go well. I've got to go off and visit Elaine in hospital now. When I get back tonight, I'll try and finish the video and sum up what happened, or in the case of what didn't happen. It's Sunday. Yesterday's time trial did not go well. I just wasn't in the right headspace and I cut it short at 3 kilometers. All of my previous 5K times have come during the first leg of a duathlon. That's a 5K run, 20K bike, 3K run. The duathlons typically have about 150 competitors and it's a mass start. Most of the competitors start off way too fast. So they all surge off the start line and you end up being a fair way back in the field. At about 2K, all the ones that went out too fast, you notice they're starting to come back to you. And it's a mental boost when you see yourself gaining on a large part of the field. And then about 3K, which is where you really need to dig deep in a 5K run, you start passing everybody. So typically in a duathlon, between the 3rd and 4th kilometre, I would pass at least 20 people. And mentally that's such a boost, just passing people every sort of 10 seconds or so. Obviously in a solo time trial you just don't get that. It's just you. So when you get to those tough times, it's hard to find that positive to keep on going. And if your head's not really in the right headspace, that becomes really tough. I had my watch set to auto lap every 250 meters so I could get that regular feedback for pacing. I didn't want to wait a whole kilometer before I knew if I was going too fast or too slow. And what it was telling me was I was a little off the pace the whole time. I wasn't feeling bad. I certainly had no issues with the stomach. I was nowhere near vomiting level. In fact, my heart rate was surprisingly low. I just didn't have that extra gear. My conservative target for the 5K was to run at 3 minutes and 46 seconds per kilometre. So I considered that kind of the worst case scenario and I hope to do better than that. After 3K, I was averaging 3 minutes 49 seconds per kilometre. which means I'd have to pull 5 seconds per kilometre for the last 2 to even get back to my pass mark. And I knew I didn't have 3-minute 41 kilometres left in me at that point. However, I've since looked at the data and found that the GPS was having a bad signal day, and it was cutting the corners and straightening the bends, and I estimate it was taking at least 20 meters per kilometer off me, which doesn't sound like much, but that's about 4 seconds per kilometer. And all of a sudden my 3:49 pace becomes 3:45 pace. Each lap of the circuit I was running on is just under a kilometer. So during my warm-up I measured out the point where the 5k should end, because I wanted to be able to visualize that finish line. However, during each lap I seemed to be running much further than expected each time, and in fact at the end of the 3k I was past the point where the 5k was supposed to end. So I'd made up that gap in 3 laps rather than 5. While I knew something didn't quite add up, it's hard to sort of think through these things when you're running as hard as you can. So I really want to do the next time trial on an athletics track. I want to take out that margin for error created by the GPS. So at the start of the video, I talked about how I wanted to learn something from this time trial. Obviously, I haven't got as much feedback as I would like. One thing I did learn is if you're not in the right headspace, if there's too much other stuff going on in your life, it will affect your result. It will affect your ability to perform. The second thing, I suppose it's not something I learned, it's just reinforcing my previous beliefs, is that it's really hard to trust GPS over the shorter distances where a matter of 20 or 30 meters will make a difference to your time. But a hard 3k effort, I think it's still a good training session. I think that'll help me towards the next time trial. And this was never the A race. This was just a warm-up race. So another 5k time trial in 4 weeks. And then the main focus is actually the 10k time trial. So hopefully I'll get all my mistakes out of the way. And by the time I get to the 10k, it'll all go really well. I hope it's been interesting. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. See ya.